What's up YouTube, Roshni here. Today I'm going to talk about 5 things which might be the reason you're not losing weight. Now this video is especially for a lot of people who come and talk to me about how they've tried everything under the earth and they're not losing weight. They might feel that your body is plateaued. This is the most common thing I hear, that I've been working on for like months together and I don't see any results because my body is plateaued. Well, guess what? Your body is not plateaued. Dropping these 5 things from your diet will make a huge difference, and as I'm going through it, I'm going to explain you why. Even being on a plant-based diet does not guarantee you're going to lose weight, and we've seen that. I've seen a lot of unhealthy vegans who are on a plant-based diet and have a hard time losing weight. But of course, if you're not on a plant-based diet and you want to lose weight, one of the quickest ways is to drop meat and dairy from your diet. Once you drop meat and dairy, you drop a lot of fat consumption in general, and plant-based food fills you up very fast, so you're not going to be as hungry, you're not going to overeat. You cannot really overeat if you're eating healthy whole food plant-based diet, and you're going to instantly see weight loss. But if you're already on a plant-based diet and have wondered why you're not losing weight, irrespective of working really hard in the gym and following a diet and staying in the caloric restrictions, then these 5 things might help you out. Number 1, alcohol. I knew this was coming. Alcohol is one of the reasons you are not losing weight. When on a fat loss program, having alcohol even one time in a week or one time in 15 days will stop your progress, and I'm going to explain this to you right now, how that happens. Now, a lot of times what happens is when I'm helping clients track calories and stay in a caloric deficit, they calculate alcohol calories and then they say, a glass of, let's say, wine is only 100 something calories and I'm still in a caloric deficit, then why is it I'm not losing weight? Alcohol is 7 grams per calorie, which is almost 2 times carbs and protein. So you're consuming more calories drinking alcohol than you're consuming carbs and proteins. It is less than fat. The number of calories you're consuming per gram alcohol is less than the number of calories you consume per gram of fat, which is 9 calories. But anything you consume, fat-based sources which are plant-based, you're also getting a lot of micronutrients. Everything you consume, all the calories you consume from alcohol is empty calories. You're not getting any kind of micronutrients. So it is micronutrient deprived empty calories, mostly sugar calories which you're consuming. But a bigger problem with alcohol is when you consume alcohol, your testosterone level drops. Testosterone is a hormone released by the body which helps in building muscle mass, and indirectly helps in fat loss. So this is how it works. When testosterone is released in your body, you're going to gain muscle mass, and the excess muscle mass increases your metabolism. The more muscle mass you have, the higher your metabolism. Metabolism is the number of calories you burn at rest. So your overall calories, or the number of calories you're burning at rest, goes higher when you have more testosterone. And women in general have very little testosterone released by the body. So their muscle building capacity is very little, and their metabolism is also very less compared to men. That's why as a female you're going to eat lesser calories than as compared to men, even if you're of the same height and weight. So once you consume alcohol, your testosterone level drops and indirectly your metabolism goes low. And this is the reason you're not going to be able to lose weight as fast as you would if you do not consume alcohol at all. Apart from that, when you're consuming alcohol, you take in a lot of sulfites and you take in a lot of toxins which your body does not know how to digest. So your body literally stops everything else. It stops recovery, it stops your muscle building capacity, it stops literally everything else to just push that alcohol out of your body and remove the poison and remove the toxins out of your body. So you're really hindering with the process of recovery every time you drink alcohol. That is reason number 2. Reason number 3 is, think about it. When was the last time you had alcohol and just had alcohol? Like you went out on a night out and you just had alcohol and you did not feel like eating anything. When you have alcohol, your capacity to make decisions goes down and your inhibition goes down. So you are more tempted to eat stuff, anything you find around you, and you're more likely to give in to those temptations, and you're going to go out of your diet, and your cheat drink, 1 glass cheat drink, just turns into a cheat night and you're going to eat all kinds of stuff, which is a lot of calories. Trust me, it takes a lot of calories to drop weight. It takes a lot of hard work to drop weight, and one night could be like put you back by 3 or 4 days. And you consistently keep doing this, then you consistently keep taking 2 steps forward and take 1 step back, then obviously you're not going to see results, or your progress is going to stagnate. And once your progress stagnates for a couple of months, you don't feel like getting back to fitness at all. You feel this is not for me and you're just going to give up. So no alcohol. I mean, I know that if you work very hard through the week and keeping up with all your workout sessions and going for going to the gym regularly and eating healthy throughout the week and making sure you're having all the meals, you're cooking all the meals, you want to go out, you want to celebrate, and you feel you deserve that drink, and maybe you do, but you're on a fat loss program, and a fat loss program is different from a weight maintenance program. So when you're on a fat loss program, do not consume alcohol. It's as simple as that. Decide for the next 6 weeks, 8 weeks, whatever it is, do not consume alcohol, and it's going to actually really make a difference in terms of breaking your plateau. You're not on a plateau, you're just taking 2 steps forward and then taking 1 step back every time. An alternative to that, I don't know, when I'm in the bar or when I'm in a club and I am on a fat loss program, I just stick to water. Anything else, any kind of mocktails you're going to have, or any other kind of aerated drinks or sugary drinks you're going to have, is going to be a lot of sugar. So just stick to water, and maybe juices, but just water on the rocks. That's what it's called. I don't know, it's been so long I've been out, but just stick to water, or just avoid. Still go out to dinner and still enjoy your dinner and have a cheap dinner, but just avoid alcohol and avoid being in social situations in which you're tempted to drink, or just be really strong and be mentally strong and just don't drink. But no alcohol, that's the point. Alcohol is number 1. Number 2 is nuts. Now, just when I was talking about alcohol, even if you don't eat a lot of food when you drink and you feel that you're staying in a caloric deficit and not giving into temptations, you're still going to eat a little bit of munches kept around, like alcohol munches which serve with alcohol, nuts, most common ones. Don't get me wrong, nuts are very healthy, very essential for the body, and very good source of fatty acids, but nuts are very high in fat, and when you're on a fat loss program, you want to stay low in fat, and you've always heard that nuts are healthy for you, and you eat that as a snack, having like a handful of cashews or walnuts or almonds to start your day with, which is a very good idea. But when you're on a fat loss program and you're trying to keep your fat intake to a minimum, then nuts could be one of the reasons you're not losing weight. They're very high in calorie and very high in fat. When I'm on a fat loss program and I'm around a 16 to 1800 calories per day diet, my daily fat intake in terms of grams, and I'm just giving you an example of this, is no more than 30 to 40 grams. So I try and stick only to 30 to 40 grams. And a handful of walnuts, just a handful of walnuts, could be as much as 8 to 10 grams of fat. So if I start my day with just a handful of walnuts, or let's say almonds or cashews or something, which is like barely anything, but you're consuming in 8 to 10 grams of fat in only one sitting, when your overall intake of fat throughout the day should be no less than 40 grams. And trust me, everything you eat or drink except water, everything you eat or drink is made up of proteins, carbs and fats in small ratios. So there's no food which has no protein, or there's no food which has no fat. It does a very minute or tiny ratio, and it adds up very fast. So an alternative to nuts would really be just stick to seeds or limit your nut intake. Do not take in a lot of nuts. I know this because when I was competing for Fit Factor, I used to measure my food and eat, and as little as 20 grams of almonds, which is barely anything, has about 10 grams of fat in it, which is a lot of fat. So limit your nut intake. If you absolutely want to include nuts in your diet, then stick with walnuts. They are the highest in omega-3 fatty acids, and limit it overall. Do not take in more than 3 to 4 pieces of walnuts per day. And that's it. You do not need any more fats coming from nuts. You need fats in your diet, and I'm going to explain further how to take fats. But fats from nuts, keep it to a minimum. It's high calories and it's high fats, and you don't need it. Okay. Number 3 is nut butter. Since we just spoke about nuts, everyone talks about how almond butter is good for you and how peanut butter is really healthy for you. Well, pros and cons, I wouldn't say, and everyone loves, especially if you're a huge post-workout smoothie fan, then you know how delicious a tablespoon of peanut butter tastes in your post-workout smoothie. Bananas, peanut butter and almond milk, soy milk, or any kind of nut milk which you like, and a scoop of protein powder is, I mean, it tastes the most delicious and most creamy, and the creaminess comes from the butter. So we are used to adding the scoops and scoops of almond butters or peanut butter in our smoothies, or having it in the name of health. Again, yes, it's a much healthier option compared to dairy butter, or butter which comes from cow's milk or any other animal milk. But again, it's very, very fattening and very, very high calorie. As less as 1 tablespoon of almond butter has about 100 calories in it. And I want to say about, again, 8 to 10 grams of fat, which is a lot of fat. So if you're just having 2 tablespoons of almond butter, peanut butter, which is generally what we put in smoothies, that's about 200 calories of coming only from butter, and that's a lot. You do not need that much of unsaturated fatty acids in your diet when you're trying to lose weight. So my just rule of thumb, when you're trying to lose weight, again, this would be different. If you're in a maintenance phase, go ahead and add a scoop of butter in your smoothies. But if you're trying to consciously lose weight for the period of, let's say 6 week, 8 week, whatever your transformation period is, stick away from butters, nut butters, or try and include as little as possible. A good alternative to nut butters in your smoothie is chia seeds, hemp seeds, flax seeds, any of these which are higher in omega-3 fatty acids, not that calorically dense. They don't have a lot of calories, and you're still getting your omega-3 fatty acids. If you really want the peanut buttery flavor, then PB2 or peanut butter powder is also a good additive to your smoothies. It tastes amazing, really nice. The peanut butter powder chocolate flavor tastes amazing. On a regular basis, when you're on maintenance programs, I would suggest you stick to the nut butter, the organic nut butter, instead of the peanut butter powder. Just because the peanut butter powder is way much more processed and the nut butter is not so processed. A few things to look out for when you're buying nut butter though: just make sure that it's not loaded in sugar, and it should literally just have, if you read the ingredients, you should be able to recognize the ingredients, and it should just have the nuts and salt maybe in it. But a lot of them use hydrogenated oils and sugars, and which is not good for you. It's a very bad butter then. Don't buy this. Try and get nut butters from smaller local places which make it themselves, or homemade nut butters. Homemade peanut butter is very easy to make. So try and make it at home, or try and get it from small homemade shops which make it themselves, instead of going for the mass-produced nut butters, which I don't suggest my clients. Or I would suggest you to do it. But peanut butter powder when on a fat loss program, or flax seeds, hemp seeds, chia seeds, all of these are great options. Just about 1 to 2 teaspoons of chia seeds, about 10 grams chia seeds, has a lot of omega-3 fatty acids. You're covered, and it's good. It's much better. Good option. Number 4 on the things to avoid is protein bars and protein powders. Now, when people tell me about taking whey or casein or any kind of protein, even a plant-based protein powder, I ask them, is your goal muscle gain? And 90% of the time, I don't come across a lot of clients whose goal is muscle gain. Everyone wants to lose weight. Everyone wants to stay lean. If your goal is not muscle gain, do not obsess over proteins. Protein powders and protein bars, even though they have proteins, are loaded in calories, and all the extra calories coming in from proteins is converted to fat. Apart from this, protein bars, mostly which are commercially made, are made with a lot of preservatives to increase the shelf life of the bar, and it's not good for you. It has a lot of sugar, alcohol, and sugar alcohol is not digested or broken down easily by the body, which causes constipation, bloating, and even IBS. So you're going to be bloated and with a lot of pain and not feel very good because of the sugar alcohol content. It also has partially hydrogenated palm oil. It has a lot of the sugary flavor is from high fructose corn syrup, which is not, the sweetness comes from a lot of the bars. I'm not talking about all bars, there are some good bars out there, but a lot of the bars are just loaded in high fructose corn syrup, or hydrogenated oil, or sugar alcohol, or a lot of things which are not good for you. Also, these protein bars are very, very high calorie. If you've noticed that, I know my favorite protein cookie is Nanny and Nanny. I love it so much. But one cookie is 400 calories. 400 calories. Can you imagine? That's a lot of calories. You don't want to be consuming a snack of 400 calories in the name of proteins. No, you should not be doing that. And all the excess calories is converted to fat, and you're never going to be full eating a 400 calorie bar or cookie versus eating a meal worth 400 calories which has a lot of fiber in it. Most of the protein bars don't have fiber, so even though you consume the entire bar, you're still going to be hungry, you're not going to be full, and you're going to want to eat something else. So avoid protein bars absolutely, and avoid protein powders. Unless your goal is muscle gain, of course. If you're looking to build some muscle mass, then you should be conscious about how much protein you're consuming. But really, if it's not, you're getting enough proteins from lentils, legumes, pulses, all of that. You do not need to obsess about the amount of protein you're getting. I personally, when I'm not trying to build muscle mass, my protein intake is, I want to say, less than 50 to 60 grams per day, and I go days on less than 50 to 60 grams per day when I don't consume any protein powders, and I do absolutely fine. I still break PRs in the gym. I'm still very strong, and I don't want to build a lot of muscle mass, so I'm absolutely fine. So no, don't obsess about protein powders. It's excess calories, it's hard to digest, and that's probably the reason you're not losing weight, because you're taking in too much calories thinking it's proteins, or the extra protein calories also gets converted into fat, guys, so don't do that. The very last thing you need to be conscious about avoiding when you're on a fat loss program is wheat. Now how to put this? Okay, flour in general. When you're on a fat loss program, try and stick to as much whole grain as possible versus flour. The moment you break the grain down and make it into a flour, it could be millet flour or wheat flour or barley flour or any kind of flour, the surface area increases and the glycemic index increases. So a higher glycemic index, meaning the body releases more glucose, and there's a insulin spike in the body, which is not good. So you should not be consuming things which are high GI unless it's around your workout. In general, on a fat loss program, just be conscious about what you're consuming. Consume a lot of whole grain versus flours in general. Now the thing with wheat is, it's not even about the gluten content, but wheat in general, the process of growing wheat involves a lot of herbicides and pesticides and chemicals, and all those chemicals you're consuming, and it's toxin for the body. And all of these toxins lead to things like Alzheimer's and multiple sclerosis, depression even, and diabetes, a lot of cancer, a lot of diseases and disorders. I just recently read the study which was talking about how the maximum limit of pesticide used for growing wheat. Turns out they did study on some saplings and samples, and they found that it had about 2700% more than the maximum limit of pesticides used. That is crazy. That's 2700% more than the maximum amount of pesticide allowed, which is considered safe for the consumption of human body. So that's a lot. So cut down on wheat in general. It's not even about the gluten, it's just about the way it is grown. Has a lot of pesticides and herbicides. I've left a link below in the description about one of the other good blog posts which I read. But do your own research. Wheat in general has a lot of herbicides and pesticides which is not good for your body. So I would just say avoid wheat in general. So no breads, preferably no chapati, have rice instead, and which is a whole grain and much better for you, and does not contain, unless you know your source of wheat and it's organically grown and does not have herbicides and pesticides and has not come in contact with contaminated water. In that case, it's different. I mean, think about it. Like 100 years ago, there was no mention of gluten sensitivity. And people used to have wheat all the time. And wheat is one of the ancient grains which we've been used to eating for centuries. Where did the whole concept of gluten sensitivity start from? I mean, are we sensitive to gluten, which is a protein in the wheat, or are we sensitive to just the herbicides and pesticides, which is how the wheat is grown? I mean, it's something to think about, I know. So yeah, just avoid wheat in general, and it'll make a huge difference to if your body's plateaued right now, and it'll make a huge difference to how you're going to feel and how you're going to get results. So that's about it, guys. Fat loss is a lot of factors to consider. Fat loss is to do with your hormonal changes, your calories and calories are what kind of calories you're consuming. But I hope these 5 tips helped you guys. Try and stay away as much as possible from 5 of these. Like this video if it helped you, and I wouldn't mind if you share it also with a couple of friends who are looking for solutions for fat loss. Subscribe to my channel please, it helps me grow, and you're also updated with videos which come out in the future. If you like this video, they're going to be similar kind. You'll probably like the other videos too. I'm gonna leave a link to my fat loss video and some other videos over here. Feel free to check them out, and I hope you guys have a good day. Cheers guys, have a good day. Bye.